But we start with our Newsmaker segment and talk about major changes being planned for the Truman Library and Museum. The Independence facility will undergo a $25 million renovation and close for about a year. To talk more about the changing facility and about the Truman legacy is Library Director Kurt Graham. Mr. Graham, welcome back to Ruckus. Good to see you again.
Thanks for having me. Great to be here.
I think the last time you were here, 2 or 3 years ago, we talked about the fact that you were planning a major change at the Truman Library. That change is about to come to fruition.
It is about to come to pass, and it's amazing. People think of this as a new thing, that we've all of a sudden had this idea to renovate the library. The reality is this has been 3.5+ years in the making.
Yeah, give us, if you would, a general overview of what's being planned, what people will see when the library finally opens about a year from now.
Well, this is the single biggest renovation that has been undertaken at the Truman Library since it opened in 1957. This is a complete redoing of all of the exhibits on both levels. It involves a modest expansion to the building itself, a new entrance on the east side where people park that will make access to the building much easier, a much more natural flow to the exhibits as the visitors come through. So it is going to be a completely different experience when people come back in a year and see what we have to offer.
And it's going to remain open for a few more days, I think.
A few more days. We close on July 22nd. Monday will be our last day open to the public, so you've got a week to come and see us. That last weekend, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday will be free to the public, so we hope plenty of people will come by and say goodbye to an old friend.
So what happens to you and the staff when the library is closed?
Well, people have the impression that we're going to put our feet up and kick back for a year and just not do anything in particular.
Well, that's what I thought.
Yes,
is that true?
Well, I wish that would be true, but the reality is overseeing the installation of a project like this is not without its challenges. The staff will be very busy involved in that, getting the artifacts and documents ready to go back into the exhibit. So there will be a lot of work to do. Plus, we'll continue to do programming and continue to do media events and that kind of thing.
It's been a long time since Harry Truman was president. He took office in 1945 after the death of Franklin Roosevelt. Truman was the vice president, elected in 1948, out in 1953, back home to independence. What were some of the reasons we would think of him now as a consequential president?
Well, I think if you pick up a newspaper and you read a headline, you'll find that it relates to something that Harry Truman had to deal with. Everything around the world, I mean, here's a man who literally changed the map of the world. Korea, the Middle East.
A man who won World War II, or at least was commander-in-chief when World War II came to an end.
No, he had a profound impact on the nature of the world, you know, the advent of NATO, these kinds of things, all of this that influences the world we live in today. We can thank Harry Truman for that.
And he okayed dropping 2 atom bombs on Japan.
Yeah.
The only time in world history atomic bombs have been used.
He's the only president who knew what it was like to put that many people to their death at one time, and that influenced, I think, the way he made subsequent decisions. He's known as a great decision maker. That's why we still talk about Harry Truman. He was thrust into office at a time when he had to make incredible decisions about the future of this nation and the future of the world, and he did so in such a way that it's memorable.
And he integrated the military?
His civil rights legacy is incredible. His recognition of Israel, the fighting of the Korean War, his service in World War I. There's so many things about Harry Truman. You know, he goes and fights in the war when he doesn't have to. You know, he's way past the age when he
had
be
bad
drafted.
eyesight as well. Right?
Many reasons why he should not have gone, but he did anyway.
He was outspoken. He was blunt. He told people what he actually believed.
Yeah. He said, you know, he was known as "Give him hell, Harry." He said, "I never gave him hell, I just told him the truth," and they thought it was hell.
And something I find interesting is that when Truman left the White House in early 1953, he was not a popular president. Took a train, came back to Kansas City, where he stayed for the rest of his life until his death. But with the passage of time, he's become a very popular president.
He left office with some of the lowest poll numbers in recorded history, low 30s, 30, 32, 33%. And now is consistently ranked as the 5th or 6th most important president in our history.
And he spent his life in Kansas City after leaving the White House, as I mentioned, and he spent a lot of time at the Truman Library greeting people.
He built that library as his post-presidential project. He considered Independence, Missouri, the center of the universe, and he not only said that, he lived that. He loved this area. He came back here. He had lots of options. He could have gone a lot of different places, but he chose to come home to this area and spend his...
And he didn't have a lot of money.
No, he didn't. I mean,
he had to write a book and do some TV projects.
That was how he made his money, was with his memoirs, but he refused to serve on corporate boards. and get high dollars for speeches. He said they don't want Harry Truman, they want the president, and the presidency's not for sale.
Got to stop you there. Thanks very much for coming in.
Thank you.
Good luck with the new facility. Look forward to coming out and seeing it when it opens.
I hope you will. Thank you.
I certainly will. That's Truman Library Director Kurt Graham. Now let's meet the panel and start a ruckus.